Desk workers of Reddit, what are the ways in which you secretly rebel against the man? I stick it to the man by wasting time at work, like everybody else. So when I'm not browsing Reddit, I do the following. There's this sales guy that works in a cubicle near mine. He has a Rubik's cube on his desk that he is always messing around with on conference calls, but he can never solve it or even get close. It always gets him super frustrated. He hasn't learned that it's pretty much impossible to solve them just by playing around with it. Anyway, I'm no competitive cuber, but I can solve them in about 2-3 minutes. So for the last few weeks, I've been solving the cube before he gets into work in the morning. It kind of freaked him out the first time it happened, and he started asking people around who did it. I denied it, of course, and he kind of shrugged it off. But it slowly has started to drive him crazy. Every single morning, he comes in and the cube is exactly where he left it, but it has been solved. He has started telling people around him that he thinks there's a Good Will Hunting like janitor that keeps solving his cube. He's fascinated by it. One time he actually left his laptop at work overnight with the webcam on, pointed at the cube with the motion capture setting. Of course I knew this because he told me he was doing it, so I covered the camera right after he left for the day. Another time he brought in an extra cube to see if they would both be solved. They were. I think he is slowly losing his mind. Every morning when I arrive at my desk, I pull out a stack of papers from my drawer that are old and useless and I scatter them around. Whenever Bossman comes around I hide my internet browser, which usually has something not work related on it, pick up the papers and organize them or pretend to read them. At the end of day I put them back into my drawer to be retrieved the next day. I'm considered one of the top performers in my group, so I'm not really sure what my coworkers are doing. They do the same thing. Just forget to hide the browser. Got my office in on doing push-ups on the hour. We all get together and do 25 push-ups. The whole process takes about 5 minutes. Because people like to BS. They think I'm helping them for cues on their health. I'm focused on getting away from my desk as much as possible. I drink lots of water so I can get up every hour to go stretch my legs and pee. The healthiest form of rebellion. When you're good at something, never do it for free. I wear dinosaur t-shirts to work when I'm alone in the shift. We're supposed to look professional all the time, but that doesn't matter when I'm at the office and not visiting customers. I really like the implication that you have more than one dinosaur t-shirt. It makes me feel like I'm being too conservative with my own clothing choices. My boss is very anal about how staplers and other such office materials are arranged and is very adamant about keeping them in order. For the longest time, I've been secretly nudging one of the staplers out of place just the tiniest bit randomly throughout the week just so I can witness the horror and discomfort in his eyes when he walks by the stapler and can't help but fix it. You should move everything on his day arc slightly to the right except for his stapler. Then he will think somehow his stapler was moved, but really, it wasn't. I spend all day teaching myself new skills, then find a task to apply them for so I can say I did X, Y and Z at my job, then apply for a higher paying job. Same. Definitely the best form of sticking it to the man. When writing emails, spelling out suck it. Frick off etc with the first letter of each sentence. ETA. The last one was along these lines. Sorry for the delay. Usually we'd have got this back to you sooner, but we have been lacking junior staff recently. Client has already agreed to the previous fee quote. Please the attached email to confirm. Kindly also find attached the TPS report as requested. I have CC'd the manager, Benjamin Dover, and the senior manager, Philip McCracken, as requested, because of all the usual corporate bollocks. Thanks and kind regards. Fellow hapless drone. Most of my job involves removing staples from documents I later scan in. I hoard the staples I remove. Someday, I will make it rain pain. Stick them all in the air vent, and have the air vent be openable by a rope hanging down into the office hall. Attach a sign to the rope that says chaos. I got stuck on extra duty while in Iraq for questionable reasons. As a result, I had to clean the battalion building every night. As payback, I moved the desk of my rather rotund Command Sergeant Major 1 inch closer to the back wall every night. My goal was to make him think he was getting fatter as the space behind his desk gradually shrunk. My work has 30 minutes lunch breaks and recently eliminated 15 minutes breaks. That crap shouldn't be legal. I take my lunch break outside the office approximately 20-25 minutes before my boss and many of my co-workers, take almost a full hour, and return to the office before everyone else gets back from lunch. They think I was gone for half an hour, but I was really gone 45-50 minutes. Then, I'll take 15 bathroom breaks and just read it. This only works because I'm salary and don't have to punch in. I feel sorry for the hourly employees that have to put up with this crap. I never answer my phone. I let all calls go to voicemail. I wait a few hours to return calls and about 90% of the time I get the other person's voicemail. We play voicemail tag for days, even weeks. I turn my ringer down so I can't even hear it. And then my voicemail says the most efficient way to contact me is to email me. Sometimes I listen to the voicemails and then just email the person back instead of calling back. Dang phone. I sit by the copier. Sometimes I'll make a few copies of a paperclip on the glass, then reload them into the paper tray. It's hilarious watching people look for the clip on the glass but finding none. This one is my favorite so far. Harmless and funny. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say by doing exactly what I'm told. The way big tech companies are largely unable to adapt to trends in the technology is hilarious. I'll tell you more later. Now I have to go and open an Excel sheet and zoom all the tabs to 100% because the manager who receives it needs to print it out to take it to a meeting and doesn't want any hassle. I reckon that'll take an hour or two. My computer is awfully slow today, you know, and yes, I do know the zoom level has nothing to do with the print size. But I'm a go-getter, proactive, and don't take no for an answer. I once highlighted a few cells in Excel and my boss forwarded to my co-worker asking her to get rid of my pyrotechnics. I was then given a lecture about not doing anything too complicated in Excel, highlighting, hiding columns, etc., because it messes things up. My boss hates the sound of cabinets closing, so when she's not looking I open and close them repeatedly and pretend to look for things. She's also incredibly neurotic about the spices being organized, first by the region where they're used most and then by color. I put the cumin in the Asian section and she loses her mind. Well, cumin is used in Indian cooking, so it is technically Asian. As one of the few people that aren't related to the sales department, I find my office empty a lot. A good portion of the time the big cheese takes sales and sales assistants to lunch while ignoring the rest of us. So in that time of passive why aren't you people selling windows, I have done the following. Switched all the coffee to decaf. Switched around personal photos. You'll be amazed at how long it takes someone to notice. Removed all the staples from staplers but 3 or 4. Put the rest away in the boxes. And put the boxes on the empty desk. Mouse moving too slow? Time for it to start moving at Mach 5. And my favorite, when the annual We Need to Lose Weight ladies party arrives, there is always a prize to the 2 gals, men never partake, who lose the most. I will go to Costco and spend some $50 or so on the tastiest junk food you can find. Through the time they have the competition I'll leave bountiful bowls of candy around. And occasionally I'll have the missus make a batch of coffee cream muffins for the office. Not once have I been caught doing this. Instead, they will turn on whoever seems to be doing the best or is already the smallest gal in the lot. It's like watching a nature show seeing these women turn on themselves. You are diabolical. At least you're good at it. I work from home but we have a virtual office environment, instant messenger, and we have to keep office hours. I keep my laptop next to my bed. Log in at 7:30 and answer a few emails and accept a few meeting invitations before other people are up. Then roll over and get another hour of sleep. I'll also usually get some work done before I go to sleep at night but save it in draft form so I can send it randomly throughout the morning. I don't want to give the impression that I routinely am available after 5 PM. I work for a local TV station and there was a computer with a lot of RAM, but it had an issue making it unusable for editing. We were using the monitor for something else, so my boss never noticed that I was using this and his fast internet to host a small Minecraft server for my friends and myself. Someone while back on Reddit recommended an office prank that involved an official HP notice printout saying this printer has been equipped with voice technology, and it said step 1, say your name, step 2, say function, scan, print, etc. I had my manager yelling at the printer 3 times, Eric, Eric, Eric. He was even mad. It didn't recognize his name. The entire office was making fun of him for a while and I felt like the man. I did this as a prank in my office for April Fool's Day. I put it up in the help desk area. It has been there for 2 years and nobody has said anything. They say I can't drink energy drinks at my desk. I pour my Red Bull into an empty Coke and drink to my heart's content. In the corridor I hold the door open for some people when they are slightly too far away, so they have to jog a little bit to catch up. I do the same thing, getting America in shape one step at a time. Everyone has a container of paper clips on their desks, and since I work at a construction company and I am alone for 90% of the day, I go around and make paper clip chains at everyone's desks and then shove it back into the container. It is the best to watch their faces as they reach to grab one paper clip and they get to chain of 100 plus. I work 60 plus hours a week and go to bed at 7 PM so I can do it again and again. Frick yeah, take that you corporate dickheads. Frick yeah dude. I print out long but economic reports, add highlights, annotations and tabs, dump them on my boss desk and send a flood of emails with messages like, urgent, did you see the mining report? Just found another report. This point of view is fascinating. This may have important repercussions for our clients supplying heavy equipment to mining companies. Please find attached the industry report for heavy equipment. Please also find the report on the property sector since some of our clients also supply heavy equipment to the property sector. I seem like the most hardworking employee ever, but I know all I'm doing is overwhelming my boss to the point where he dreads seeing the pile of work on his desk. So he just avoids his desk and leaves me in peace. Every time I see a sign I do the opposite of what it says. Pull with 2 hands to get paper towels. What am I, your slave? 1 hand in the middle and let that be rip. Our first world anarchists. In our office we are allowed to have either 2 posters and a picture at our desk or 2 pictures and a poster. Well, I have 2 posters. One is a list of Chuck Norris facts and the other is from a show I watch. I have a picture of my dog hanging next to the show poster. One day I got bored at work and had nothing to do, so I went online and became a minister of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster just for shoots and giggles. So I get my certificate and forget about the stupid limit on personal items. So along comes my butthole of a boss who everybody in the office hates, telling me that something has to go. Well, rather than give in to his demands for an honest mistake on my part, I decide to claim religious profiling, and that he was discriminating against my faith. I argued that my certificate should be exempt because it is neither a picture nor a poster. Well, my boss doesn't like it, so he presses the issue. So I call up an hour rep and talk to them about it. Long story short, boss gets in trouble for religious profiling, and I get to keep the certificate. Ramen. My boss is a horrible person. She complains all the time and is rude to everyone. So in return, it's been about 2 years now that I have been trying to make her fat. I buy boxes of donuts and coffees with lots of cream. Big pizzas for lunch. I walk by her office every time and offer her and she barely says no. She always complains about gaining weight and apparently she gained 30 pounds in the past 6 months. Mission accomplished. Dude. Hopefully she's single, or else she takes that attitude home every day. Her so hates you with a rage that can only be described as ravenous. I was always disappointed they called the group Al Qaeda and not Cobra. I would go through Time magazine articles with whiteout and a lettering guide and replace every Al Qaeda with Cobra and every Bin Laden with Cobra Commander and replaced other names with Destro, the Baroness or other key Cobra officer names. I would then leave the magazines on the break room table at work, Starbucks or other public location. The ones I left at my dentist office were there for years after. Eventually at work there was a company memo emailed out about it. Seemed someone read one of my altered articles and became very angry and went to HR. I decided it best to stop leaving them at work. I would still leave them in Starbucks or other public places though. I write TV news in the largest market in the US. I write what the anchors read on the prompter, and I avoid using the AP wire as much as I can, opting for Al Jazeera, Reuters, Christian Science Monitor, etc. AP is the main source for news for all news outlets in the US. Much of my stuff, especially war-related stories, gets edited and sometimes completely reworded by the copy editors or producers. I've also been yelled at by anchors one trying to explain to me how we, the US military, are not occupying Iraq. I have a way of forwarding emails as they arrive, without my name being on it. I'll forward 50 of the same email to someone. It just looks like it was sent to them 50 times. I steal creamer and keep it in my desk, but I work at home, so really, I move creamer from the kitchen into my drawer. Frick the police. I start at 8, and since my boss has been pregnant, she now arrives sometime after 8:30. I open up a relevant folder and then just spend half an hour on the internet before I start working, generally within 5 minutes before she arrives. I also steal office supplies. I'm such a rebel. I'm an audio-visual coordinator. I set up projectors and mics for meetings and hotels. Sometimes I have to sit in the meetings and monitor the mixing board. It's boring, but we're not supposed to bring laptops to dong around on because the client is paying extra for us to be there to monitor crap. I bring my laptop, and I get away with it every time. First thing I do is open Audacity, then open an audio file. Madonna's Material Girl is good for this, and I play it with the volume muted. When the client comes to stick his or her nose up in my business at the tech table, I stare intently at the wavy lines that the song is making within the program, pretend to adjust something on the mixing board, pretend to notice the client, and say, "Hi there, sorry, just checking levels." It looks terribly impressive, and I never get a complaint that I spent the whole session staring at my laptop. Of course, as soon as the meeting gets underway, Audacity is minimized and I'm on Reddit until the end of the day. TLDR. I make my laptop look like necessary equipment so the client won't complain that I was on it all day. It's not at all necessary. Was once told I couldn't touch the thermostat in a place that was always freezing balls. I could however order as much canned air as I liked. I turned them upside down and fired into the thermostat anytime it got cold. I don't know if I have ever been more pleased with myself. I work for a bank, and I waive all those motherfucking late fees. Oh, you had a bad day? I see you made a late credit card payment 2 months ago. Here's a $25 credit player. I worked for a company that was super anal about travel. You had to get approval from Jesus Christ himself to take a bus across town. The problem was that when they said yes, there was no system that tracked your travel as an expense in the accounting system. Basically, they didn't account for the cost until you submitted the expense report. For my job, I had to travel a lot, but it was almost always a contractual requirement, so no wasn't an option, and I hate to beg. So I would sit on expense reports until the end of the quarter and then drop $25,000 into the system about 24 hours before the quarter would close. Our Amex cards weren't due for 60 days from the billing, so it worked well except for a few trips at the beginning of the quarter. The absolute panic from my division's finance group was hysterical. They had manipulated the numbers to get the desired result, and then I drop a bomb on them that fricked everything. I was like Bambi, just sitting there blinking my eyes. What? Is there a problem? We're not allowed to wear polo shirts that have the logo of a different company, but every 2 weeks or so, I wear a polo with a golf logo. Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door, that way Lumberg can't see me. After that I just sort of space out for about an hour. I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch. 2. I'd say in a given week I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work. Still the most accurate movie about working as a programmer. A friend of my dad's used to spend so much time flicking rubber bands at co-workers while in the office he got accurate enough to kill flies with them. I don't know if that was sticking it to the man so much as plain boredom. I work in construction. During the summer, it's really busy. Other seasons, not so much. While I was normally supposed to be in rural Iowa on a job site, one week we had to shut down due to flooding and my boss had me come back into the office. Even though there was absolutely nothing to do, I spent the entire day making copies. Thousands and thousands of them. I worked in the conference room right next to my boss's office and spent almost the entire time whistling Swing Low Sweet Chariot. Not me, but my brother. He works in the military doing payroll type services. He handles a lot of pensions. About a year ago, a big shot vice admiral retires after years of service. My brother does the paperwork and this vice admiral ends up with a healthy pension. $200,000/year. So he doesn't need to worry about money ever, right? Wrong. Around 15 years ago he cashed his vacation days for the equivalent in pay. The paperwork was done. Records of cash going out to him, etc. But there was one form missing a signature. This vice admiral kicked up a storm about it and ended up collecting that money again. But it gets better. This time the vacation pay was adjusted to his vice admiral pay instead of whatever lower rank he was back then. This sum ended up being $80,000. My brother now hunts through the forms of retiring privates and other low-ranking soldiers for missing signatures and hands out extra money whenever he can to these retirees, who usually end up with pensions of $20,000/year. TLDR, Vice Admiral is a dong. My brother now gives free money to anyone he can. Taking a crap in work is so satisfying. You are legally allowed to take a break to crap, and you're getting paid for crapping. I love crapping. My boss gives zero fricks as long as our customers don't complain too much. It's hard to rebel against the man when he's always dragging you away for smoke breaks and chit chat about how the weekend went. We aren't allowed to eat anything at our desks that require a utensil. Every morning I eat a yogurt at my desk, with a spoon. I know this Reddit died already, but I finally found one I have contributions for. My boss is a know-it-all who has a habit of already knowing everything. So I created a Google Doc and invited a few co-workers to play the I know game. The rules are simple. Get my boss to say I know in conversation with at least one witness and you get a point. My old manager was a dong. No one liked him. He had a really big heavy desk with a big lip running round it. He also had a big heavy chair with arms. It had a lever to lower the chair. When he was out we would sit in the chair and lower it as low as possible. We'd then move the chair so that the arms were under the desk and then hit the lever to let the chair rise. It would be now trapped under the desk and very difficult to get out. Every day for months we did this. He left in the end. We like to think that the chair drove him quietly mad. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.